There have been several changes to the CSEC English A SBA. Therefore, it is vital that students are cognizant of these changes so that they can maximize their marks in this area. Some of the changes include 1. The component, 2. The marks allocated, and thirdly, the new requirements for the oral presentation. Stay tuned as we examine these changes.
The cover sheet of your SBA, your English SBA final draft, should have the following: 1. Your subtopic. 2. An appropriate picture or image that relates to your subtopic. 3. Your name. 4. Your candidate's number, which is usually given or provided to you by CXC. Your school's center number, your school's name, and your country or territory. Here is a sample cover sheet, and it reads English Language School-Based Assessment. It is from one of my past students, and the name of the candidate here is Angel Stewart, and the name of the school, Meadowbrook High School, center number 10075. So all schools are given a center number, okay? So that is the number that you will add there, okay? Then, of course, you have the candidate's number, which I will not reveal for privacy's sake. And then you have the teacher's name, and here, Mrs. Harrison Jackson. And the theme is drug abuse, and the topic is the effects of drug abuse on teenagers. And the year of the exam is 2024. All right, and so this is a sample cover sheet. All right, so use it as a guide when you are doing your final draft. I trust that this sample has been helpful. Table of content should be neatly constructed. It should outline the components within the school-based assessment. A sample table of content, and it reads acknowledgement. Now, acknowledgement is on page 1, and this, of course, is optional. Some students would like to say thanks to their teachers, their parents, friends, etc., who may have assisted them in the completion of the SBA. Then, of course, following that, you have the plan of investigation that is on page 2. Reflection 1, page 3. Reflection 2, page 4. The written task, depending on how lengthy it is, pages 5 to 6. Outline of the oral presentation, and this is on page 7. Now, it is important that students provide an outline of the oral presentation because CXC has stipulated that this outline must be in their final draft in order for them to be awarded the mark that has been given to them by the teacher. Okay, and following that outline, you have the bibliography. Now, the bibliography is now marked out of 5, and so it is important that you have this, and the bibliography must be done using the APA format. And then following the bibliography, you have the apex, right? Some students, of course, this is also optional because this is where you would put in your artifacts, okay? You may want to put in your artifacts if you have a poem, if you have a song, if you have maybe an extract from a book, you can put that there in the apex. I trust that this has been helpful. If it has, remember to like, share, tell a friend, and comment. As stated in previous videos, the plan of investigation is now a group component or activity. Therefore, all members of the group should have the same plan of investigation. And here is a sample plan of investigation. And it reads, our group selected the topic Crime and violence for our SBA. The subtopics chosen are contributing factors of crime and violence, the impact of crime and violence on communities, the impact of crime and violence on family life, how can civilians alleviate crime and violence within their communities, preventative measures taken by government to alleviate crime and violence, the impact of crime and violence on the economy. We chose this theme because crime and violence continues to negatively affect families, schools, and communities. It creates fear, destroys lives, and shows and slows national growth. By investigating this issue, we hope to gain a clearer understanding of how it affects society and what can be done to address it. To collect information, we will use surveys, interviews, and newspaper articles. This SBA will benefit the group by improving our English skills in research, analysis, and presentation. It will also strengthen teamwork, critical thinking, and communication. Reflection 1. Reflection 1 is in the first entry, the students must indicate how each artifact helped to shape his or her thinking about the subtopic or theme. The responses to the following must be included in this reflection. 1. What did you know about the subtopic or theme before starting the SBA? 2. What was the main issue or idea in each of the artifacts you selected for your subtopic or theme? 3. What new knowledge was gained and how did the artifacts affect your thinking on the subtopic or theme? And here is a sample reflection 1. The sample reflection 1 reads, before starting the SBA, I had already had I already had some knowledge about the topic of crime and violence. I knew that crime is a major problem in society and that it affects people's safety, especially in the community where violence is common. From the news and social media, I was aware of incidents such as shootings, robberies, and gang related violence. However, my understanding was mostly general, and I did not think deeply about the causes of crime or how it affects different groups in society. My first artifacts, a news article, focused on the increase in violent crimes within urban communities. The main issue highlighted was how frequent violent acts create fear and insecurity among citizens. The article also discussed the role of poverty, unemployment, and lack of education in contributing to crime. This artifact helped shape my thinking by showing that crime is not only about criminals committing acts of violence, but also about social problems that influence people's behavior. The second artifact, a short story, explored crime from a personal perspective. The main idea was how violence affects families and individuals emotionally and psychologically. Through the character's experience, the story showed the long-lasting impact of crime such as trauma, loss, and fear. This artifact made me think more about the human side of crime and how innocent people are often affected even when they are not directly involved. The third artifact, a speech, addressed crime prevention and the responsibility of citizens and the government. The main issue was the need for community involvement, education, and stronger social support system to reduce violence. The speaker emphasized that crime can be prevented if people work together and address its root causes. This artifact helped me understand that solving crime requires cooperation, not just punishment. Through these artifacts, I gain new knowledge about the causes, effects, and possible solution to crime and violence. They change my thinking by helping me see crime as a complex issue influenced by social, economic, and personal factors. Overall, the artifacts help me develop a deeper and more informed understanding of the topic of crime and violence. And I must say to the student, well done. However, only problem I have with this is that he needed or she needed to state the name of the newspaper article, the title, maybe who it was written by, also for the short story, the title of the short story, and for the speech, the title of the speech. But overall, a well done. Job well done on reflection one. Use it as a guide for writing your reflection so that you can get good marks. And please ensure that you have all three areas. What did you know about the topic, the subtopic, or theme before starting the SBA? What was the main issue or idea in each of the artifacts you selected for your subtopic or theme? And then what new knowledge was gained and how did the artifacts affected your thinking on the subtopic or theme? And that's why I said excellent job done here by the student. Reflection 2. Reflection 2, the second entry, must discuss the use of language techniques in the artifacts selected. For each artifact, you must 1. Identify at least one language technique used. 2. Give an example of the language technique as used in the artifact. 3. Comment on its effectiveness. And here is a sample reflection 2. Sample reflection 2 reads, the poem When I Said by a former client of the Emily program uses highly personal, emotive language to express the pain and isolation of eating disorders. Words like struggle, fear, and silence allow readers to connect directly with the speaker's experience, fostering empathy for the psychological impact of the disorder. This first person approach humanizes the subject and highlights the emotional complexities involved. In contrast, the NEDA article employs formal clinical language with terms like risk factors and genetic influences. This factual style clarifies the complex, multifaceted causes of eating disorders and maintains the article's credibility for public education. In the video, What Causes Eating Disorder, Risk Factors and Cultural Perspectives, the speakers use conversational and relatable language, often posing questions and using examples like social media pressure or unrealistic body standards. This makes the content accessible and engaging, especially for younger audience, and effectively demonstrates how cultural factors influence the development of eating disorders. By combining facts with credible, relatable examples, the video bridges the gap between scientific information and everyday experiences, making the topic more understandable and impactful. Well done. Another brilliant sample. So when you write your reflection too, ensure that you identify at least one language technique used, give an example of the language technique used in the artifact, and of course, be able to comment on the effectiveness of the language technique. Do you believe that this sample nailed it? Share your thoughts in the comments. The writing task. The candidate will create an original response related to the subtopic or theme. This response should be between 250 to 400 words. Candidates must include an outline or plan appropriate for the specific writing task selected. The response should be 40 to 50 words. A graphic organizer may be used to plan the writing task. The genre chosen by the candidate must be from one of the following options. Note carefully. A. Narrative writing, for example, short story, monologue, spoken word, or narrative poetry. B. Informative discourse, for example, cause and effect, compare and contrast, problem and solution, process writing. C. Persuasive writing, for example, speech or a letter to the editor. And lastly, D. Drama. Sample writing task reads, this short story follows Mia, a teenage girl struggling with an eating disorder. After collapsing at school, she receives therapy and begins her journey to recovery. The story highlights the importance of awareness, support, and mental health education in treating and preventing eating disorders, encouraging self-acceptance and resilience. And the short story's title is Finding Balance. Mia used to count calories instead of blessings. Every morning she faced the mirror, tugging at her shirt and whispering, not good enough. But what began as a simple diet slowly turned into a silent war she fought alone. Skipping meals felt like success. Hunger became her control. One afternoon, during gym class, Mia collapsed. The echo of the voices faded as darkness closed in. When she awoke in the nurse's office, her mother was sitting beside her, eyes filled with worry. For the first time, Mia whispered, I need help. Days later, therapy session began. Her counselor helped her see that recovery wasn't about perfection, it was about healing. She learned that food was not the enemy and that her worth went beyond appearance. At school, Mia joined a wellness club that promoted body positivity and healthy habits. Sharing her story helped her heal while inspiring others to seek help. She realized that prevention start with awareness, compassion, and honest conversations. Months later, Mia stood before the mirror again, not searching for flaws, but for strength, and for the first time in a long while, she smiled. Well done. Again, well done, I say to the student. And as you were told earlier, that you can write a story, you can write a speech, and you can write an informative discourse. So I would advise students to choose a format that they are comfortable with, that they love, that they enjoy doing. Okay, I'm going to share other sample writing tasks in the description box. You can view these in order to assist you, right, in choosing the right fit for your SBA. I trust that this has been helpful. If it has, share your thoughts in the comment section below. The oral presentation. The oral presentation is a personal response related to a subtopic, should be delivered orally in 3 to 5 minutes. The oral presentation should be delivered predominantly in standard English and in a genre of the student's choosing, for example, poetry, prose, speech, persuasion, and exposition. Now, of course, there were some changes to the oral presentation. To note these changes, you can listen to the video inserted. As you can hear, I am under the weather. Yes, I'm having the flu at this time, and so I'm a bit stuffy. So please bear with me. Now it says here that candidates are required to submit a detailed outline or detailed notes or transcript of their oral presentation in their portfolio in order for the marks to be accepted. So bear that in mind, that a detailed outline or notes of the transcript must be included in your portfolio in order for the marks to be accepted. So before CXC can award you the oral presentation mark, they must see this outline of the oral presentation, okay? All right.
CSEC, English oral presentation.
Here are some of the changes made to the oral presentation. Now, the oral presentation is now a personal response to your subtopic and not your topic. The oral presentation should be delivered in 3 to 5 minutes. It should be dominantly in standard English, although Creole is accepted. It should be delivered mainly in standard English. It may take the form of a poem, poetry, prose, speech, persuasion, or exposition. Now, one of the major change to the oral presentation is that it now requires that a detailed outline or detailed notes or transcript of your oral presentation must be placed in your portfolio in order for the marks to be accepted. In previous years, it was optional for students to provide this detailed outline. Now it is a requirement in order for you to get your marks. The oral presentation is now marked out of 20 instead of 10. Let me repeat, it is now marked out of 20 instead of 10. It is vital that students understand how to effectively master this section in order to get the maximum mark.
Issues which face us all are not just how to survive. Obviously, we are doing that somehow. But really how to thrive. Really. Thrive with some passion, some compassion, some humor, and some style. This poem is called And Still I Rise. Now, every person in this auditorium has gone to sleep one night or another, or gone to bed one night or another, with fear, or pain, or loss, or terror, unhappiness, grief, insecurity. And yet each of us has awakened, arisen, seen another human being and said, "Morning, how are you?" "Fine, thanks, and you?" Now, wherever that abides, whether it's behind the kneecap or in the bend of the elbow or between the teeth, wherever that is, lives, there we will find our nobleness. Not nobility, I think that's it's a pompous word, but the nobleness of the human spirit, that we rise. You may write me down in history with your bitter, twisted lies. You may trod me in the very dirt, but still like dust, I'll rise.
Here are some tips on how to execute effectively the oral presentation. Tip number 1, choose a form for your oral presentation that represents you. By that I mean poetry, prose, or speech. So a form that you are comfortable with. Ensure that you insert a line or a phrase that will make your presentation memorable. Thirdly, write out your oral presentation and practice before the mirror with your friends and family in order for you to memorize your lines. Make eye contact with your audience to create a sense of intimacy and involvement. And lastly, change your pitch and tone throughout your presentation. If these tips were beneficial, remember to like, share, tell a friend, and most definitely subscribe. The bibliography references or bibliography At the end of the SBA, all sources must be acknowledged using the APA documentation style. And the video to your left will explain this style. Sample bibliography or references. And here is a sample, and the sample reads: Quorum Family Lives dot open bracket 2026, comma February 2 dot close bracket dot how bullying affects children, and then we have the website. It's quorumfamilylives.org.uk. Then the second reference here is McLean Hospital dot 2026 April 8, understanding the mental health toll of bullying on young people, deconstructing stigma. And then the third one is tips every day, open bracket 2023 September 20 dot practical tips to understanding the impact of bullying on self-esteem, supporting kids. And the video link is there. Okay. And so I trust that this presentation on the final draft of the English SBA for 2027 was helpful. May God continue to bless, guide, and keep you all. God bless you.